Now, upper echelon. This week, Judy Dlamini, chair of Mbikani Investment Holdings and better known through her chair of Aspen Pharmacare, one of the hottest stocks on the JSE. In fact, since 2007, when you took over as chair there, Judy, the share price has just gone one way, and that's up. That's always a good thing. One of the top 20 companies in South Africa. I guess you were made for it, though, given that you are a medical doctor by training and then moved into investment banking, then into entrepreneurship. But let's go back a little bit. Going through your CV, I saw Vryheid came up there, Vryheid High, or certainly the fact that you did your high schooling there. How did that work in?
Actually, interesting that you could dig that out. It's an interesting story. I met my husband when I was at Mariannhill High School, and the plan was that I would do matric at Mariannhill High School. But the nuns were not too happy with me going out with my husband then. And they had this system that they would say, you can come back to do matric, but we just need your dad to come so that we can talk to him. And my dad was very strict. So I went back home. I said, Dad, I don't want to go back there. The maths is not so great. So my dad, the whole of November, December, he was looking for a school. And he found Vryheid. So that's how I ended up there.
That's incredible. Yeah. Which school in Vryheid?
Vryheid State High School, not in Kamani, because it was so late. You know, the application was quite late. And you would get space, but not for a maths and science class. And I used to say to my dad, it's maths or nothing, because I knew what maths could do for you. Yeah.
That's a fabulous story. And, of course, your husband, Sizwe Ngoxana, is well known in his own right. You've been a little bit in his shadow, Judy. I was interested to look through here. Discovery Holdings, you were on their board. I guess when there was a split with First Rand, they might have felt didn't really want a competitor to be on the board. And I guess in your family, you must be one in the same.
Not really. That's not how it worked out. I just felt that I had too much on my plate. So every 5 years, I actually look at the portfolio, and then I'll actually say, no, I need to come off this board and focus on other things. So that was the reason, really. And I love low profile. I guess it's just the personality. Maybe it's the medical training. You know, doctors are more one-on-one people than, people who love the podium. So
what took you out of medicine into investment banking first and then into the entrepreneurial environment?
I wanted to be a doctor from the age of 4. I always wanted to be a doctor, and I loved it. But I lost the passion, maybe because there was crime involved in my practice and something in me died. And maybe also I just felt I wanted more, I just needed my brain to be stimulated more. As a medical doctor, I just felt that your view in life tends to be a bit myopic. And then I decided to go to business school and did an MBA, which was it broadened the horizon. It actually, you have a little bit of something in every field, which for me was ideal. And so the losing of passion was good because then it actually broadened the way I view things. And
ignited new passions.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Business, growing up, was it something that did appeal to you?
I had this focus of being a medical doctor, but on the side, there was the element of business because my father wasn't highly educated. Actually, hardly had any education, but he was an entrepreneur. He ran his small painting contractor company. And maybe from that, my mother was a primary school teacher, which is actually just streamlined professional. But my father is, I guess, where I got the business and the entrepreneurial keenness from.
How do you and Sizwe get this life balance or work-life balance? I asked him the same question when we spoke a little while ago in the same series at Upper Echelon. I'd love to hear your input.
We make the effort, Alec. You have to make the effort. You never get the balance right, but we try. We always try. I was just talking earlier on that last week he had a meeting in London, and I organized my diary that I actually joined him so that we had 2 extra days to spend with each other. We just take the time to spend with each other and also with their children. So it's let's just say it's our priority. It's the main priority. family, then work.
It hasn't been all plain sailing. We were all very saddened when Sifiso passed away. Was there anything in his passing, your son, that has maybe changed the way you look at things?
Yeah.
I ask this because I share that experience as well, and it's not something that that easily sits with one. They never go away, and it is.
It doesn't. It's still very fresh, as you can imagine, and I've had a lot of pain in the past. It's just the worst. It's
Judy, but the contribution that you're making to the society as a whole is immense through Mbekani. What got you to think along those lines, woman empowerment? And I was fascinated to see that you are really an all-girls club. Have you got any men at all that work with you?
I actually do. I started off with an all-girls club because it's important for me to show the young girls that women can do it for themselves. But after 5 years, I said, we've proved a point as women that we can do it. And the reality is in life, there are boys and girls. I have a son and a husband, and they're brilliant people in my life. So we started employing men. Let's just say they are more a token because out of a staff of 60, I think it's about 5 or 6 men. But we've ticked the box. Men are welcome at Mbekani. Yeah.
Talking about a token, do you ever feel like a token on some of the boards that you serve on, or do you make sure that they know you aren't?
You actually choose how to feel about yourself. Fortunately, I've never felt like a token, but I'm very aware that I am there for a purpose. You know, it might be because you need the numbers, but what you do with that position actually allows other women, especially black women, to be accepted, you know. So I actually take it as a gift and a privilege, and I try to make sure, how do I make it better for other women? How do I ensure that because I was here, another black woman will get an opportunity to serve?
It's a big responsibility.
You do feel like it's a big responsibility, but you can always, you can only give your best shot. I think it's important for all other women to remember that. You can only give it your best shot, you know.
But to serve as a role model, particularly in this society.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Judy, and those boards, Northern Platinum is an interesting one.
Yes.
I can understand Aspen, and we'll talk
Yes.
about that in a moment.
Yeah.
But Northern Platinum, that seems a long way away from from the medical field.
Yes, that's true. And a short story about that one. How I got into the Northern Board, I was called by Eric Mlobi. I had a lot of respect for the late Eric Mlobi. And he says, I actually want you to serve on the Northern Board. I've recommended your name to Tokyo. Tokyo used to be the chairman at the time. And I say, but Eric, I don't know anything about mining. Then he says, but you see, you're limiting yourself. If you don't join the board, you'll never know anything. We'll teach you, we'll take you to the mine. And having changed careers, I thought, why not? You know, we tend to limit ourselves, and at the end of the day, business is business. And unless you expose yourself to different sectors of business, you'll only know that particular area.
But it is interesting that the whole mining area is now opening up because of changes in legislation, long overdue.
Yeah.
You also looking to get maybe an interest there as well? Through your Masibulele resources?
Actually, maybe not. We'll see. Maybe not. It really depends. If the opportunity comes, we will look at it.
Again, is that through an all girls team?
You know, after my son's passing, I'm actually looking at using the company that he had started. As you might know, he had started Nonduna Investments, which is a family investment company. And in honor of his name, I intend to use that vehicle going forward. And maybe it's an all-girls club because my daughter is... So, yeah.
Also in honor of his name, and this I found fascinating, was that Stephen Sard, the chief executive of Aspen, pushed himself to the limit in a physical manner. How did that all come about?
He was at the funeral. He just, you know, Steve always has ideas, and Steve always thinks of the underprivileged, the person who doesn't have a voice. And he thought, how can I change this and make a positive out of a negative. And as you can imagine, Alec, it's priceless. I couldn't believe it. I was so stressed, though, prior to the race. I just thought, oh, my God, what could go wrong? And I prayed. But it's so special.
I think he needed all our prayers. He was on our radio show a couple of days before and sounded terribly nervous that he was going to make it through.
Yeah, I mean, he'd been to the US, yet didn't have enough training. So, yeah, it was...
And that relationship, it's an enormous company now. It wasn't at the time that you got involved in. It's doing some fascinating work. How do you relate to Aspen?
Aspen is very special. It's special because of what it stands for, making quality medicine affordable. It's special because of the team led by Stephen Saad and Gus Attridge. You feel like you're part of a family that has an objective of doing good. Everything else that flows from that is just a side effect of focusing on doing good. Good for the nation, good for the continent. And now the products are in 120 countries and going to more. So it's a very special relationship. There's just a short story that I would like to share. One of the things that maybe contributed in losing the passion as a GP was around the time when there was AIDS, HIV, and at the time there wasn't much hope in terms of treatment. And you always have those few cases as a GP that just stay with you. One of those is a young, beautiful girl who walked into my practice. She had just passed her master's, and she was changing jobs. And she did an insurance policy and had to do an HIV test. It came back positive. And, I drove home, and I was feeling so despondent because at that stage, HIV meant a death sentence. And in some odd way, I'm now part of a company that has solutions to issues like that, which are big issues. Not only do they have solutions, but it's also affordable for that girl that I saw so many years ago. So it's life has a strange way of coming full circle.
And we get used by the big boss in interesting ways. I was reading through your chairman's statement, intrigued to see that the Aspen HIV positive rate is 5%, and you mentioned there that the national average is 11%.
Yes.
That's clearly not happened by accident.
Yes. You see, I can't remember which year where Steve actually took the test just to motivate people that come volunteer, come and take the test. And the staff is very aware of one of the main things that we produce. Obviously, we manufacture so many different drugs, but we tend to be known for HIV antiretrovirals. So that helps. And as you say, it's not by accident. There is a lot of initiative internally where people are encouraged to come and know your status and also encouraged to take treatment, including their families. So it's paying dividends, which is good.
It's sad, though, that it's almost off the agenda in the national debate, HIV. When one goes into the heartland of the country, people are still dying at a terrible rate from this, but it isn't. We aren't paying as much attention as clearly you are at Aspen.
I wouldn't say so. I believe we're very privileged to have the minister that we have, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi. I think he's been at the forefront of talking about HIV. You remember the initiative that he had where he said, know your status. And his objective, I think, was to test 15 million people or more over a certain period of time. And he wrote business in to try and assist. And Aspen also assisted amongst other many businesses. So it's unfortunate that people are still dying because the objective is that no one should die from AIDS. But the numbers, the infection rate has decreased. What has increased is that because people are living longer because of the antiretrovirals, it seems like there are many people who are HIV positive, but that is partly because of the treatment that Aspen, amongst other companies, is affording people and making it affordable.
So there is progress, which is,
there is.
I guess, something to celebrate. Just to celebrate your career as well. You've got a long way to go still, Judy. Are you going to be focused on business like Warren Buffett, who's now in his 80s? Is that the intention?
You kind if you say I have a long way to go. Thanks, Alec. I actually want to work till the very last day of my life, if the higher powers allow that, because the brain has to be functional, the body has to be functional. But I don't see myself retiring ever. And one of the things that we've always done as a family is to give back. And we've done it in an ad hoc way in the past. But from 2009, we registered a trust called Mkiwa Trust. So Mkiwa Trust is actually one of the things that Sizwe and I will do forever, and my business. And believe it or not, I still want to have a doctorate, and I'm hoping maybe December 2013 or 2014 I would achieve that.
Another doctorate? What would that be in?
In business, yeah. I'm doing it through UNISA.
And how do you see the way that we in this country can promote entrepreneurship?
You know, I think the youth, especially, they gain a lot by having mentors. So the more people are visible, you know, especially people of color who are doing well in entrepreneurship, not only just buying 26% here and there, but starting something, is the more that you'd be able to mentor young people. I actually mentor a few young people, and I'm happy to say that it's unfortunate, obviously, that the youth unemployment is this high. But what I've noticed over the past 5 years or so is that young people are more keen to start their own things, and they do, you know. So there is hope for the country, and I guess business people, especially those that are in actually start their own things, have the responsibility to actually take one or two young people under their wing, especially the graduates that have no jobs, and reskill them. And I'm actually quite positive about the future.
Judy Dlamini in our Upper Echelon this week. Upper Echelon was brought to you by Deloitte for innovative thinking and thorough strategic planning. Turn to Deloitte.